Welcome back to another edition of the Fantasy Football Expo podcast series. We are back. We are almost 2 weeks away from the Expo, folks. Our heads are exploding. Maybe yours is too, but that's okay because tonight we're going to talk about another rookie. I love rookies coming to town. The shiny new toys, right? We love rookies when we draft, and we love rookies that are coming to the expo for the first time. And that is Jared Battista with Fantasy Plus. What does he do? What is this cool app? You're going to find out next. All right, rookies have reported to camp. Veterans have reported to camp. We got another rookie here, Jared Battista, Fantasy Plus. Jared, welcome to the show. For those who are listening to Jared for the first time, Jared has connections to Canton, Ohio. I'll let him explain that. So, Jared, you got your Browns hat on. Tell everybody where you're calling from now, but tell them a little story about your ties here to the Canton area. Pretty cool.
Sure thing. Well, thank you so much for having me, Bob. It's a pleasure to be on. I've been watching all the different interviews you've been doing with the other expo attendees, and it's great to be live with you.
Cool.
And yeah, my my great grandparents came over from Europe to Canton in like the 1920s, and my great grandfather was a steel worker in Canton all of his life, and my grandfather worked around town as well. And before my dad moved to Florida, which is where I'm at now, in Orlando. And
Cool.
my like yourself, my grandfather has been a volunteer at the Football Hall of Fame for over 20 years,
I
and
probably ran into him and didn't realize the connection. So now I have to keep an eye out when we're there. Maybe he'll be there that weekend. We're in for the expo. It'd be kind of cool if we'd run into him, or you would know that he would be there and we'd be able to say hi. But yeah, no, great stuff. Love the ties. We don't get them every day, that's for sure. But that's really cool about how your family, and they're from North Canton, Hoover area when they did go to school around here. So for those of you that live in the area and are watching this, if you know the Batista family from mid 1980s was when his dad would have, around 86 is when his dad would have graduated from North Canton. So if you know who they are, tell them their son's on the videos, man. It's right there. Love to have him.
the Batistas, and my aunt is married to a Carbini, so you may know a Carbini as well.
So my best friend, his last name is Salona. I guarantee you, he knows all of those people because his mom and dad came over from Sicily. So yeah, I'm sure that they're familiar with each other. I'll have to ask him when I get a chance if he knows the names. I'm sure he'd be like, "Oh yeah, but they're probably related because like everybody who's Italian is related to Ken somehow."
Yeah, and I should add, my grandfather is also in our family fantasy league, and he's a stick, so he'll be coming to the swing by the booth as well.
Awesome. That's great stuff. Definitely bring him over so I can say hi to him and talk to him a little bit about his life in Canton. So Jared, you've got this really cool app that we're going to talk about here called Fantasy Plus. But before we go there, let's take a little step back in history. Not as far back as your grandparents when it came over, but let's talk about your fantasy beginnings. When did you start knowing about the game, playing the game? When was fantasy football introduced to you? Was it dad? Was it somebody else? How did it all start for you back in the day?
Yeah, I remember it like it was yesterday, really. You know, early elementary school, I would help my dad manage his team a little
Okay,
bit,
there you go. Yeah,
his players and stuff like that. And then in fifth grade, one of my buddies invited me to join a league, and I was so pumped to finally play on my own.
yeah,
And we all went over to his house, and we actually had a live draft with a big draft board. So
cool.
we did the
Stickers and
manual input afterwards. But it was a really fun way to draft, and kind of a funny commissioner story about this first year of fantasy was that the commissioner of the league, about halfway through the season, his team just got eliminated. was gone from the app,
What?
and no one knew why. And every day we would go to school and say, "Sam, where's your team? What's going on, man?" And
What was it? What site were you using? Like, was it Yahoo? Was it ESPN
hold,
or?
hold on,
Oh,
it was a Yahoo league, but
okay.
it was a big mystery for years and years and years. And actually, um, just a couple years ago, he finally told me that as commissioner, he had used his commissioner powers to take a player off of one of our other league mates' teams who was inactive, and his dad caught him, so he had a 1 year suspension.
Wow. All right, Dad. Way to lay down the discipline. I appreciate that. That's yeah, that's a heck of a story. You don't I mean, that's just wild that his team like just wasn't there.
Yeah, we were young. It was our first year playing, but it is a pretty funny a funny story, and yeah, I've been a huge fantasy fan ever since. I'm in 4 leagues this year, so
Okay.
nothing too crazy. I know some of the guys you guys have had on here are in, into the teens,
I'm in
into the
15.
teens. All right, let's go. Yeah, I like to keep it to under 5 just
Yeah.
to
No, it
keep it
I would
manageable.
love to, but it just doesn't work out that way.
But yeah, no, fantasy is awesome. Obviously, I've started a fantasy football company, so I'm a big fan.
Perfect segue. So thank you for leading that in. Let's go right to that. So what pushed you to well, talk about the Fantasy Plus app, what it is, what it does, but also talk about that transition from a player who had some ideas and turns is turning this into a business, an app, something different, something unique. But talk all about the Fantasy Plus and what it is and how that came about.
Well, when I got my first analyst job out of college, I started with a company and immediately wanted to know if there was a fantasy league. And unfortunately, the league was full. There
Uh,
was already 10 teams, and they weren't willing to go to more to 10 or be co-managers or anything like that.
mm-hmm.
So that frustration of not being able to play in the league inspired me to design a game that was built for unlimited users. And we've done that with the Fantasy Plus app. Now, the idea did go on the back burner for a couple years, but um, during last year, I had a project that was centered around pitching a partnership to a publicly traded sports gaming company. And through that, I learned a ton about the economics of
Mm-hmm.
sports betting, which is very transferable to fantasy. And
Mm-hmm.
my dad being an entrepreneur and me growing up having that as a goal, and having this great fantasy idea on the back burner, it finally felt like the right time and the right fit.
So talk about what it does. How do people get a hold of it? How do they use it? What is Fantasy Plus for the common person that wants to be a part of that? I know you're only on Apple at this point, correct? So obviously, the Android users are a little out of the thing, but as a Apple user, what do they do? How do they do? How do they use it? How does it all work?
Yeah, so we just dropped in the App Store last week.
Oh
We'll
wow,
be we'll
okay,
be coming to the Google Play Store soon. But
okay,
the best way to find us is to search Fantasy Plus Football Leagues
okay.
in the App Store. And then you can also find us on Instagram, TikTok, and X at Play Fantasy Plus. And we've got the app link in the bio for all those places.
Awesome.
And really the way the app works is it's kind of like the March Madness app for fantasy football.
Okay.
So you're picking your players independently of the other users in the league. We also have a national leaderboard, so you can see how you're doing against everyone playing on the app.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really all about just trying to build a perfect lineup. And that doesn't mean taking the highest projected guys every week, because a lot of times it's a sleeper pick that ends up being the top performing
Mm-hmm.
at whatever position, which is, just like a March Madness bracket. If you go all chalk, you probably won't win your bracket. Although this year all chalk did very well.
Yeah, actually, really good. Doesn't happen often, though. I get that. So then people go, they join, they get the app, they download it, they join a league, I guess, league, or is it like DFS and it changes every week?
So it's kind of like DFS, but you
Okay.
play with your community.
Okay.
So you can have a scalable and inclusive fantasy experience that's perfect for any large organization, company, membership group, um, really any big group of people or friends, family. There's lots of use cases for it. We're getting some really good traction with fraternity groups, a couple local Orlando um, adult sporting leagues, including flag football, and
Mhm.
just some different community type groups, things you'd see on Meetup.
Okay. So you get in a league, create a league, join a league, whatever the case may be. How do you play each week? How do how does the scoring work? Is it just cumulative points? Is it head to head? Tell us a little bit more about the gameplay itself on a week to week basis.
Yeah, so the first thing you do once you create an account is you go right into your team and you
Okay.
can start to build your week one lineup.
Okay.
And then currently we just have the national leaderboard. So you actually don't even need to join a group if you
Oh,
just
you just go in and start playing. Okay.
yeah, if you just want to see how you stack up against everyone. But our engineers are working hard to get the groups feature in, and it should be done by August 1st.
Okay.
And
Oh, well, yeah. It's next Friday. Yeah. Cool.
yeah, and that's peak marketing period for fantasy companies. So by then you can
Yeah.
invite your friends, or maybe you'll get invited to join a league. But yeah, to answer your question, there's no head-to-head matchups.
Okay.
It's just top scoring, so everyone's competing against everyone, and
Okay.
there is a season-long component. So your scores each week are accumulating on the
Okay.
season leaderboard, but we really want to emphasize that weekly leaderboard as well.
Okay.
So we're going to have weekly prizes from sponsors, and just the fact that you're able to change your lineup every week. You're not married to the players you pick week
Hmm.
one. Kind of gives you an opportunity to win the league any given week, because you're not stuck with any injured players or guys who
Right.
just aren't performing well. And
So
we
I'm
have
looking
pretty
at.
pretty,
Oh,
pretty
sorry. Go ahead.
basic pretty basic scoring settings, just PPR, and we do have, instead of a defense, we have a defensive end.
Okay.
11 players in total: QB1, QB2, RB1 and 2, wide receiver 1 and 2, one tight end, two flex, and kicker, and a defensive end. And
Okay.
then the other wrinkle within our app, which gives you another way to win. So even if every week you just somehow just keep picking a bad team and you're not doing great on the fantasy leaderboard, we have a picks leaderboard.
Oh.
And
Okay.
what that is so every week you get to make five more or less selections on whether players are going to beat their fantasy projection.
Ah, okay. So I'm looking at, for those you can't see this, I'm looking at one of his screenshots and I see this list of players and there's a green arrow up and a red arrow down. So that's where that comes into play. You're picking, you said you get to pick five of those players where you get to make a higher or lower decision, right?
Yep, five picks, just whether they're going to beat their projection or not, which is something I always wanted to do when I played fantasy.
Yeah,
I
no,
would,
that's a cool idea.
I'd set my lineup and I'd say Josh Allen is definitely scoring more than 20 points, but
Hmm.
most sports books and even some of the daily fantasy apps usually don't offer fantasy points as a market. So
Right.
you could take some type of derivative off of that, like
Hmm.
maybe his touchdowns or yards. But what I always really wanted to place my money on was their fantasy points.
Hmm.
Now in Fantasy Plus, it's just a social element of the game for now, and you can make these picks on any player in the league, but the arrows are conveniently placed on your team screen.
Oh, okay.
So
Okay.
if you want to, you know, double down on your guys and pick the more for the five favorite players on your team, you can.
Hmm.
Another strategy that I've heard from people is that they're going to do a little hedge. and take the less on the players they selected.
Right.
And then I think my favorite strategy is a combination of picking the more on your own guys and then going on the leaderboard, checking out your buddy's team, and taking the less on his players.
Oh, I see. Okay. That's a fun strategy. I like that one. That's very cool. So obviously a very important question. Does it cost money to play? Do you win money if you win, or is it a different setup?
It is totally free to play.
Okay.
Now, each week we're looking to do some nominal prizes, like maybe a Chipotle burrito gift card or
Mhm.
something from a sponsor, maybe a free subscription for a month or things of that nature,
Okay.
nominal prizes.
Okay. But that'll come from sponsors. There's no real cash involved one way or the other. You're not going to spend any, but you're not going to win any. But you might win prizes with leaderboards, weekly leaderboards, year to date leaderboards. Cool. Good
Correct.
stuff.
Just
Good.
all social gaming. But like any fantasy app, people have the ability to do stuff offline if they choose to.
Right. Yeah. If you create your own little fun league amongst your friends and everybody throws in $10 into, a Venmo or whatever, and then, we send it
Correct.
out to the winners, you can do that
But
on your own. Right.
and you're not limited to 10 with our app. That's the cool part. So you could actually get 100 of your golf buddies or
Yeah.
whatever it is if you're lucky enough to have 100 friends. I
I was
don't
gonna
know.
say, I'm not sure
I don't know.
I have hundreds of friends in the fantasy industry that are just all coming to the expo, but I
Mhm.
don't know if they would all chip in $10 to play.
Right. Well, I'll be texting everyone I know to get on the app. But
Yeah.
yeah.
Good stuff. All right. Well, Jared, you're coming to your first expo. I guess the first question is, how'd you find out about us? How did you hear about the expo? What made you decide, okay, it's time for me to take this to the public?
Well, the my first step with starting this company was actually building a model of what I wanted it to look like on
Hmm.
Wix. It is basically chicken scratch, except for the fact that I used all Cleveland Brown colors. So
All right.
I did
Fair.
like that color scheme. Our designer he nixed that one, but
Yeah, that orange and black or orange and brown is kind of boring. That was our color shirts last year. So every year the Expo shirt has a team's color. So we've done Steelers, we've done Browns, we did Chargers, and this year we're doing the Lions.
okay.
But yeah, everybody was kind of like, oh, Browns colors. I'm like, I gotta do it, man. I live here. Come on, man, give me a break.
I love the Lions this year. We'll get back to our business, but I think
Yeah.
Dan Campbell is just
Oh yeah.
overcoming adversity and the fact that everyone's doubting them because their coaches left. I think that's
Yeah.
really
And
going to drive them
Jonathan,
this
they'll be
year.
fine.
But no, I started doing some due diligence on the fantasy industry. Found the Fantasy Sports and Gaming Association.
Hmm.
Became a member. Met with you at the conference in Vegas this February.
That's
And
right.
when I first joined, I saw you on the website, and I was like, "Oh, Canton, Ohio. I've got some
I
I've got
know.
some connects in Canton, Ohio." And
Yeah.
it was just a perfect natural fit. And then
Yeah.
you and I actually connected around that time, and it was um it was great chatting with you then. You gave me some good advice and pointed me in the right direction, and
Cool. Good.
it was pretty much a lock to be a attendee this year.
Love it. Well, I appreciate that. Yeah, I kind of thought we met at FSGA, but I have 50 people that I'm interviewing. I'm like, I think I met you there. I don't remember. I'm old, so hey, I get it. No, good stuff, Jared. Love the thing. Um, so coming to the expo, what do you got planned for your booth? Anything fun you're giving away? What should people know when they walk up to your booth? What's going to be the cool, fun, engaging stuff that they're going to be able to do, see, feel, whatever?
Well, our booth is going to be nothing extravagant, but I
Okay.
think it's going to be very fun.
Okay. That's
So,
important.
kind of staying on our theme of Cleveland Browns, we
Okay.
are doing Cleveland Browns trivia.
Ah, all
Now,
right.
I heard you say on one of the interviews that most of the people coming to the event are actually from out of state.
I know it's really weird, isn't it? Like 80% come from out of state. Like I can't get people locally to come to this. I've tried everything. ESPN radio ads, billboards, and I just And then when I talk to people, they're like, "Oh, you have an expo?" I'm like, "Yeah, it happens right after Hall of Fame." "Oh, I never heard about it." I'm like, "Are you deaf? Are you blind? Like, how do you miss all this stuff?" But anyway, enough about
Yeah,
that problem.
we're doing Cleveland Browns trivia,
Okay.
and I'd like to give you a quick test.
Okay. I'll see what I can do.
Now, this may or may not be a question at the expo
Okay.
for the people listening. Who was the Browns coach in 1980?
1980. I want to say Marty Schottenheimer.
Very close.
Oh.
Marty might have been on the staff because
Okay.
I think he was a coordinator under this coach.
Uh,
Let's see, I don't know if that's coming up.
let me think.
Sam
Oh,
Rutigliano.
Sam Rutigliano.
Yep, another great Italian.
Another great time. There you go.
I've got
Yeah.
I've got his book. I actually could do this whole Browns trivia just from my brain. I used
I'm sure you could. Yeah.
A little
Yeah.
AI to help me out, but this is my big stack of
Holy
Cleveland
cow.
Browns books.
That's crazy.
I've got
Crazy stuff.
one about the year where they left Cleveland, or actually what led up to that year, and then
Yeah.
ultimately them going to Baltimore. Return to Glory, the old days of Paul Brown,
Yeah. There you go.
the Paul Brown story, which this one is my favorite. He takes a lot of shots at Art Modell in this,
You should.
and he tells you hear the story about how he ended up being a co-founder of the Bengals, which is pretty cool.
Yeah. Right.
When All the World Was Brownstown, 1964 season.
Yeah.
Return to Glory. Oh, this is a duplicate. And the last one is Off My Chest by Jim Brown.
Wow. That's a great collection, man. I didn't even know all those books were written. No, that's great stuff. Yeah. I'm excited about that part. I mean, I remember things, but again, when you get old, things get cloudy. So like 80s, I'm like, that was like Brian Sipe era, I think,
I think so.
right?
Yeah, I think the only Browns MVP quarterback.
Yeah, I think that was the cardiac kids. That's why I was like, I thought Schottenheimer was, but you're right. I think he was the OC and Retigliano was the coach. But yeah, I mean, we certainly had some exciting years. We may not have won many games, but we certainly pushed it to the edge almost every game and had some great comeback wins.
Yeah,
But and
the
then,
80s were
then
good from what I read. Now,
yeah,
me being born when I was born, I haven't
yeah,
seen much good days for the Browns, but
you
I'm
have not.
hopeful. I'd like to get a Super Bowl before I.
You have a better chance before you die than before I die. I'll just tell you that
Mm,
right now. Yeah, I mean, I lived through the drive, the fumble, the red right 86 or whatever it was. Um, yeah, and I watched them all live on TV, and when people were, so when people were like, oh, in fact, I actually was talking to a company, and one of the co-owners was Mark Jackson from the Denver Broncos. He was the one that caught the touchdown on the drive. And,
mm,
and he goes, I'm Mark Jackson with the Denver Broncos. I'm like, no, I know who you are. I still have bad memories of you. He just started laughing. He goes, oh, you're a Browns fan. I go, yes.
yeah.
So, yep, been there, done that. Drank a lot, and because of that. But anyway,
How
Jared,
was
thank you
your
for being a
experience?
part of this. No, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was just curious how your experience was when the team left, because that's what actually got me into reading these books.
You
Because
know, it was one of those things where, yeah, I mean, certainly you're irritated. You know, it's politics getting in the way of football. Um, I mean, nobody was happy about it, and nobody thinks Art Modell did the right thing, but that was his mind. I laugh when they say that Art Modell may someday get voted in and inducted into the Pro Football Hall of Fame, and I go, I don't want to be in this town. Now, granted, he's passed away, but even if his kids are here, I can't imagine the ridicule and the issues that they will have with that. I don't think he ever gets voted in. I don't think he deserves to be voted in. I don't care what he did before that, but yeah, but yeah, I've heard those discussions, and I don't think there's much of a chance. But you know,
you
then they
want to
came
know
back, and obviously we didn't expect them to be gone long, and yeah, it's just been a real nightmare since then, and really haven't put much together. And the owner now is a complete idiot. So I
A,
don't see any hope.
a
They have
crazy
really good. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say a crazy story about Art Modell is that him growing up in New York, he was a massive Brooklyn Dodger fan.
Mm,
He was in Brooklyn when the Dodgers left for California, and he's on record when he became the Browns coach of saying, like the Dodgers broke my heart. I forget the owner of the team, but like I would
uh,
never do that. So it's just the ultimate irony that
right.
he would end up doing that. But
Yeah, it's all about money.
yeah, yeah, Bob, thank you so much for having me. I'm super
Yeah,
pumped to attend the expo, and I think it's going to be a blast. And
yeah. No, looking forward to having you. Looking forward to you to get be back in town, see some of the family maybe. So before we go, tell everybody where they can find the app, the all your social media, and then I'll click a button and we'll take it out from there.
cool. Fantasy Plus football leagues on the App Store and on the Google Play Store soon, and on all the social medias. Play Fantasy Plus.
Awesome. Well, Jared, thank you again for being a part of this. Thank you for coming to your first expo. I hope you enjoyed it as much as we will enjoy having you and Fantasy Plus here. Excited for you to show off your new app to everybody. I'm sure they're going to love it. Yeah, again, I'm really, really excited about you coming. So, folks out there, you're listening, folks. Friday is 2 weeks away. If you haven't got your tickets yet, my question is, what are you waiting for? It's like you can't get much closer than this. You don't want to have to buy your tickets at the door. It's going to be much more expensive than they are right now. Don't wait. Get them. Have it done. We're turning in the T-shirt sizes on Friday, 2 days from now. Maybe when you see this, it'll be one day from now. So if you don't get your tickets ahead of time, I can't guarantee you we're going to have your shirt size. Now, we always try to kind of figure it out, and we might have it, but don't take that chance. Especially if you're an odd size, like super small or super big. If you're in between, you might be okay. So anyway, get your tickets. So again, thank you again, Jared, for being here. Everybody out there, see you in 2 weeks. Take care. God bless. We'll see you soon.
Thanks for watching. Lock in your 2025 football tickets now at thefantasyfootballexpo.com. Hit subscribe and check out one of these excellent at FF Expo videos next.